right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I know the weather is not great, so I always get very nervous. Once we see a little precipitation, a little fog, we hope that our families make it to our meetings. I know it's difficult. My name is Leah Lugovina Freitas. If you don't know me, I'm the Director of Guidance. This is my second year at New Rochelle. This year is going really, really fast. There's a lot going on, and we hope that this evening offers you a lot of pertinent information. We hope to have a little bit of fun also during our presentation. Before I start, I'd like to introduce the school counselors. We saw Ms. Kennedy, who is doing the presentation for our Spanish-speaking families. We have, I'll start in alphabetical order so I don't get in trouble. We have Mr. Tuck here who will be presenting. He is the newest member of our school counseling department. He is our school counselor for student athletes. And then we have Mr. Zimmerman, who is in House 2. Mr. Tuck is in House 3, and they will both be helping me present this evening. This presentation is being recorded, so if you know families who could not attend, please tell them that it will be on our website, on our school counseling website, in about maybe a week or so. Thank you, Mr. Stukes. Am I saying your last name? I always call you Trevor. So Mr. Stukes is always here supporting our presentations. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get started. We're starting with our vision and mission statement. This was a vision, our school counseling vision, mission, and statement that was created over the past year. We always like to, we're going to start sharing this as part of our presentation so that you know what we're aiming to do. We did a lot of self-reflection over the last year, really looked at what we currently do and what we'd like to see happening. So this was the vision statement that we came up with as a team. Basically saying that we are a comprehensive, creative group of caring individuals to support our students, to guide them to discover, reflect, and nurture their strengths and areas of growth. We want to provide high-quality planned experiences that will increase access to tools and resources designed to develop insight for greater self-awareness, encourage career and college readiness, and provide skills to positively engage in a diverse world. This program tonight is part of what we want to provide for families so that we are giving you high-quality planned programming. The aim for tonight's meeting, we're gonna jump right in. We're not playing around tonight. We're gonna show you, we've changed the order of our meeting. We're gonna show you what a final transcript looks like. I'll be going through that with you, how we measure success, why you are more than your GPA. We're gonna be playing a little game, so I'm gonna need some volunteers, so get ready. I'm gonna need about 9 volunteers. I see you putting your hood on. Don't worry, I'm not gonna embarrass you. It's fun, you don't even have to speak, you just have to read. So it's pretty easy. Honor roll and the various honor societies, how to apply to BOCES, the timeline, etc. How we are, we're working with students and families in terms of the BOCES application process this year, what Naviance is and the why for accessing it. After tonight's meeting, I'm hoping all of you, at least this weekend, run home and access your Naviance account. An introduction to standardized testing for college entrance, what courses are offered for college credit here at New Rochelle High School, how to get involved in your school community, which is really, really important. This presentation will be posted on our website. We have various links embedded in the presentation that you can access. One is your sophomore year checklist. I noticed that we have a lot of, not a lot, but about, how many, raise your hand, how many 9th grade students are represented here tonight? We have quite a few 9th grade students. How many 10th grade students are represented? We have more 9th grade students represented tonight, which I'm okay with. I wish a lot more 10th grade students would be here and families. But again, this is going to be posted on our website so everyone will have access to this presentation. All right, so in your handout, you all received a transcript. So I think it's really important, especially when you're in 9th and 10th grade, to really see the big picture, right? Oftentimes, this might be your first student going through high school, and you hear about transcripts, but it's important to see what a final transcript looks like and some of the things that you're going to look out for. So I want to go through this with you to just highlight what you're going to see when your student is in 12th grade. Just keep in mind that Regents level courses are weighted at 1.05, and AP honors, AP, and college dual enrollment courses are weighted at 1.1. So when you're looking at a transcript, you are going to see, maybe if I put my glasses on, it won't be a blur. Okay, so this is an actual transcript from a student who is currently in 12th grade this year. All right, so this is a real person. So you, at the first thing that you're going to see is this student, as many of our students do, take high school level courses in middle school. And you see this particular student took Italian 1B and studio art and received a high school credit in middle school. Some of you may have taken math in middle school, received a credit for that, or science in middle school. So you might be coming into high school with 4 credits of high school credits already. So that would be placed on your final student transcript. You see that this particular person took the checkpoint B exam in Italian and earned an E, which is the exemption, which no longer is going to happen for our students. So I believe the current the 10th grade class is the last class that will be seeing exemptions or SAs more likely on your transcripts. Everything else going forward, unless New York State changes again, their requirements will be numerical grades. Then we have their 9th grade courses. So what you see here at each grade level are their final average grades, marking period 1, 2, 3, 4, average into their final average. That's what shows up on a transcript. What you see here is their pure final grade. It is not weighted. So I mentioned before the weight of a Regents course, the weight of a AP course or dual enrollment course. These are their pure courses. So what you see here and what you see on their GPA will be different. Okay, so you'll see a higher GPA because it's taking into account those weighted courses. So you see the final pure grades, and then next to it on the Regents column, if there was a Regents exam, they have the grade there. So, and then you see the credit value of each course. So who can tell me how many credits you need to graduate from high school? 22 credits, right? So at the end of each year, you see a credit value, a total credit value of 6.5. Minimally, students need to earn a total of 5.5 credits each year, so that at the end of 4 years, they are earning 22 credits. On the bottom, you see an unweighted GPA, which is the average of all of the pure courses, the pure grades rather, and then you see the weighted average. This particular student took an AP World History in 10th grade, received an 80 in the Regents exam. Question? It is school by school, yes. Every school is different. That's a very good question. That's something that I would have to research, unless one of my team members know that. I don't know how we compare to other schools in our area. But if you want to send me an email, I can look that up and research it and send you the answer. That's an easy, I can find that out easily. Okay, interesting question. I've never been asked that before. Okay, so I forgot my train of thought. Oh, so I was talking about the type of classes that he was taking. So he took an AP World History in 10th grade. So he's taking this, he or she, I don't know what gender they are, they took a mix. It's not a, it's a pretty decent course, the rigor of courses that they're taking are pretty balanced. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, in their 12th grade year, they're taking AP English Literature. They're taking one dual enrollment course. So this varies from student to student. So it depends on, you know, how many high-level courses each student takes. It differs from student to student. So it's a very personalized decision. And these are the things that your school counselor are going to be discussing in the next few weeks with their students. So next week, they're going to be pushing into 9th grade classes and discussing course selections for the following year. They're going to be meeting with their 10th graders shortly after that. We say rising 11th graders, and they will be having individual conferences with those students and having real good conversations about the type of courses that each student wants to take and their interests and their goals. And then shortly after that, they'll be meeting with their 11th graders or rising 12th graders. Yes? Nothing's done. Very good question. Gym does not count towards the GPA, yes. But art, yes. Yes. Every other course other than physical education counts in the GPA. Yes, good question, not a dumb question at all. And thank you for asking for that, because I should have said that. Okay, so I'm gonna move on unless we have any other questions. Did I miss anything? We're good? Okay. All right, how we measure success. So we have our progress reports and we have our report cards that you can access on Home Access. I gave you a sheet. If you have not been able to log into Home Access or you did not know that that existed, this is an instructional sheet on how to gain access. This is truly, truly important. Families obtain 4 progress reports each year. Progress reports come out 5 weeks into each marking period. And that's really a time for you to gauge how your child is doing in their classes. It's really information to support them academically and to help give you all information on if there's any possible challenges that your student is having. It's really, really important to be able to access that information. And then you have your 4 report cards that come out at the end of the marking period. We're going to be going over that timeline too later. And that's really part of how we measure success and how you know as a family how your child is doing. Homework. Homework is really, really important. Typically teachers, faculty use homework as part of the final grade or part of their marking period grades. So, you know, in my household, homework was not an option. Everybody did their homework. And my children were very involved. They were involved in athletics. They were involved in clubs. And they knew whenever they needed to complete their homework, even if it was late at night, unfortunately. So homework should not be an option, and it really hurts students' average if they just don't do it. So we encourage everybody to complete their homework on a regular basis. Attendance is super important. Again, faculty, teachers will use class participation. That could be part of a student's grade. If they are not in class, they are not getting that credit. Absence is an absence, even if it's excused. Anything 10% above 183 days is considered chronic absence, okay? Again, your involvement, the fact that you're here this evening is a very good indication that you are involved in your students' success, and that is a key factor in ensuring that our students get through high school and they get through high school well. And just partnering with us. Our school counselors are here to work with you. They're here to answer questions. We encourage you to contact them. Usually the mode of communication is through email. So if you want to email your school counselor and ask them questions, especially knowing that the scheduling process is happening in the next few weeks, if you have some questions that you want to ask them directly, you can also speak with your students, say, I know that you are going to be meeting with your counselor in the next few weeks, or I know that your school counselor is going to be pushing into classrooms. Let's talk about some of these courses that you may want to take in the next year. We have a course guide on our website on our school counseling website, and you can kind of go through those courses with your son or daughter ahead of time so that they're prepared to speak with their counselor and have information about what's going to be available to them next year. Okay. We want to emphasize this, that you are definitely more than your test scores. Students are more than their GPA. There is so much that goes into the high school experience. There is so much that colleges, universities, we just conducted a survey of our students, and 85% of our students indicated that they want to go on to higher level education. They want to go into post-secondary, 2-year or 4-year colleges. So our students are thinking about college for the most part. So it's not about, it's the course selections, as we looked at in the transcript, very important. Colleges want to see the type of courses that you're taking. Are you challenging yourself? And again, we don't want students overextending themselves. That's not the point of it. The point is that they're taking courses that they're interested in, that they're curious about. They're making connections about the courses that they're taking to the world of work, to possibly what they want to major in and focus in on college. So they're making thoughtful decisions about their courses. Extracurricular activities, super, super important. Community service. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, how to get involved. I'm not even going to talk about the interview. The interview is for students who eventually are applying to really high-level schools. Our Ivy Leagues will oftentimes require or recommend an interview. It's very rare that happens, but that can be a possibility. Your test scores, ACT, SAT, and AP exams, we're going to talk in detail about that. However, more and more schools are becoming test optional. And if you're interested or ready in researching that, we're not going to really talk about that. There is something called fairtest.org, which includes all the schools, all the colleges that are test optional, basically. And they increase every single year. So the tests, the SAT, the ACT, are becoming less and less looked at among our colleges. Your GPA is important, but the point is that you are more than that. Your teacher counselor recommendations in 11th and 12th grade, you're going to start requesting letters of recommendation from faculty, and your counselors are going to write letters of recommendation on your behalf. That's going to be a huge piece. So start creating those relationships with your teachers and knowing that that is an important piece to your application at the end. The college essay, which students tend to write more towards their senior year. We really want to change that culture and get our students to start writing their essays in 11th grade so that they can really be thoughtful, they can have drafts, they can correct it. The essay can be a really, really crucial part of that application piece. And then again, your transcripts, which is the whole picture of what you've done in high school. If you have a year that you don't do very well, like 9th grade maybe, you didn't do very well, that's not the end of your career. Doesn't mean you're not going to get in college, but what matters is that you know that happened. Maybe you had a bad year, but that you recover from that, okay? So that they don't isolate years. They look at the whole picture. So we are going to play a game to kind of emphasize all of this. So I am going to ask for, I believe it's 9 volunteers. So start raising your hand. Thank you. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm getting old, so I don't trust my memory. Let's 9. So 9 volunteers, please come up. I promise you, I am not going to embarrass you. So if our students are here, I encourage our students, although I will not turn anyone away. All right, come on up and give yourself some space. There we go. All right. So I'm going to randomly give this. So when I give this to you, you don't want to show this to the audience, okay? You're gonna hold it like this. So I'm just going to randomly hand them out. Thank you, and thank you for participating. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. All right, thank you. All right. So I'm going to read, and if you have this on, and you're going to have to take small steps because we don't have a lot of space. So you're going to end up in the microphone. All right, so if you have taken an exceptionally strong academic program, step up 2 spaces. Small, baby steps. 1, 2, oh, okay, all right. If you play the oboe or viola, step up 1 space. All right. If you clearly stated that this college was your first choice by making an early decision application and commitment, step up 2 spaces. So we have, if you don't understand that, colleges have admission programs. So anything for early decision is saying to the college that you are fully committed to that school, you have seen a multitude of other schools, and this is your first choice, you are ready to go. Not many of our students apply early decision because there is a financial commitment. There is something also called early action in the college admissions process, which also shows, and there's not a binding commitment. We're going to speak about this more in the future, but also telling colleges that you're very interested in that school. It's not to be used as a strategy to get into that school. However, it does give the college a message that this is really something that this is a school that you're really interested in. Okay, if your intended major is psychology or pre-med, step back 1 space. Okay, so what this is highlighting is there are so many students who go into colleges a declared major of psychology or pre-med. Does that mean that you should not go into school if they're really, really interested in psychology or pre-med? Absolutely not. But just shows the competition and the amount of students that you're competing again. Again, there's a lot of pressure for students to know what they're going into. Or what they want to declare as a major when they go into college, and that's not necessary. Most students go into college undecided. College is a time for exploration. College is a time to figure out what you want to do. So if you're feeling like, I really don't want to invest all this money in my child, or I don't want them to get into so much debt because they don't know what they want to do, we try to discourage that kind of mindset. Encourage our students to know that going into college undecided is really an okay thing. If your intended major is Greek, step up 2 spots. Okay, so that is really just highlighting that that's a kind of unusual major, and there's a lot of majors out there that are sought after. Math, right, science, any of our STEM concentrations, those are really sought after, also very competitive. If you do not know any of your teachers well and had trouble finding someone to write your college recommendation, step back 2 spots. Okay, so again, highlighting the importance of knowing who your teachers are, having a relationship with your teachers, including your school counselors, so that when it's time for you to get a letter of recommendation, you have choices, right? You want to choose someone who really can speak well about you and write a strong recommendation on your behalf. If, as you typed your college essay, you forgot to change the name of the college you were applying to, step back 4 spots. Okay, all right, you don't have 4 spots, but okay. So again, the point is when you're doing your college applications, and again, we're emphasizing this a little bit earlier, we're gonna talk a lot about this in the future, very, very important to pay attention when we're doing our college essays and we're completing our college applications. All of these things count. If you are a legacy, meaning you have a immediate family member who attended the school, although this is maybe changing, right? In our college admissions process, you can step up 2 spots. All right. If you did not write the optional essay for your college application, step back 1 spot. No, nobody? Step. Oh, you haven't gone forward yet? Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why that doesn't work. Okay. There are college applications that are going to require other essays, supplemental essays, optional essays. So you want to put your best foot forward and make sure that you're completing all of those things. If your topic of your college essay was what I learned from playing sports, step back one spot. All right, okay. So that's a very typical essay question topic. So we want to be more creative when we're writing our essays. These are all things to start thinking about in the college. This is going to come really quickly. If you wrote the essay of the year, the one that was passed around the entire admissions office, it was so remarkable, step up 3 spaces. All right. The essay can be a really, really critical part, as I said before. If you plagiarized an AP American history paper, or you used AI, right, and got caught, sit down, you're out of the competition entirely. Sorry, all right. Sorry, listen, this is a tough world. This is a tough world. Look what happened to the Harvard president. If you will be first in your family to attend college, step up 2 spots. Right, and this is something that you can highlight in your essay. This means something still, being the first generation. And we do have quite a number of students who are first generation college applicants. Let's see, where am I? If you participated in an enriching summer program between your junior and senior years, step up 2 spots. Yes, the importance of getting involved, doing some enrichment courses. There are a lot of free opportunities out there, summer programs, our summer stars, our summer leadership programs, all those opportunities you want to take advantage of. If you have participated in no extracurricular activities, step back 3 spots. You still haven't moved forward? What's going on here? This didn't happen last year. Okay, I must be reading these out of order. If you have participated in significant community service projects, step up 1 spot. All right, we got some competition here. If you are an Eagle Scout, step up 2 spots. If you are a varsity athlete, step up 2 spots. If you are a varsity athlete and took 2nd place at regionals in your sport, move up 1 more for a total of 3. All right. If you got a D in an academic course at the end of your junior year, step back 3 spots. Yep. If you came to the college information session and introduced yourself to the college representative, and in the case of the student who just got the D, explained the extenuating circumstances, you can step up 1 more spot. Yeah, this is real. This is real. So we have our college fairs, we have our information sessions. Those are wonderful times for students to introduce themselves to admission counselors, showing a college that you are interested by visiting or making yourself known, or actually introducing yourself to the admissions counselor is very important. Demonstrated interest, that's what we call it. If you are a resident of Idaho, step up 3 spots. There we go. Are you sure you're reading that correctly? I don't know. So just indicating, we're in the Northeast, right? We're in New York. We have so many of our students applying to schools. So we're competing with a lot of other students in our area applying to schools. I guess Idaho is a little bit more remote, so really adds to geographic diversity for a school. So unfortunately, we don't get that benefit here in the Northeast. If you never gave your counselor any personal information for use in writing your college recommendation, step back 1. All right, okay. So there we have, I guess we have a minus here in this college admissions process. So the point being that you want to get to know your school counselor. They write letters of recommendation for every student who wants to apply to a four-year school. And the relationship is really important. And towards when they start the process, where they're going to be starting to meet with their juniors for their junior conference, they meet with all of their juniors and hopefully their families individually. They ask for this information, and oftentimes they have to kind of continuously ask students to present that information to them. So please keep that in mind when you get to that point. If your family name is on the college library and it's not a coincidence, move all the way to the front and stay there. Congratulations, you were admitted to this school. So let's show the audience your GPAs. I don't know if you can see them, they're kind of small. All right, so that's a 3.7, right? We have our 4.0, who apparently had nothing going on. I don't know what happened there. I gotta read that again, there's something not right there. But again, just a demonstration on how this process can work. There's no science behind it. There's a lot that goes through it, to it. We see things every year that we're like, how did that happen? How did the student not get into this school? Or how did that student get into that school? Very, very difficult for a school counselor to predict anything. There are no guarantees. Very few safety schools anymore. So we want to make sure that our students are really, really thinking about this and being thoughtful about this process as early as 9th grade, okay? It's early. We're throwing a lot at you right now early, but we want you to go through this and go, we want you to be part of this journey with knowledge, right? And what goes in, and ask a lot of questions. So thank you. Let's give a round of applause to our participants. Appreciate it. Appreciate your participation. See, no embarrassing, right? You might be a little embarrassed. All right. Our next presenter is Mr. Tuck. It's the first time presenting at our family meeting. No pressure. Yes. Yes. So we have 4 houses in total. Each house has 4 counselors for the most part. House 3 happens to have 5 counselors. And they are distributed, we have them in each level, and then one in house 4. Was that your question? Okay. So if you have an 85.9, right? Am I doing that right? Yes. Mr. Tuck. All right. Thank you. Let's give Mr. Tuck an applause. Round of applause. Thank you.
That should actually be for Leah, because I am not going to be as exciting as she just was. But yes, the honor roll requirements. And good evening, everyone. All right. The honor roll requirements. High honor roll will require a 90 or higher average with no grade lower than 85 per marking period. So you can't come up with that 90 average with a 70 in there. You know what I mean? For the high honor roll, your 90 average has to have no grade lower than 85 per marking period. Now, the general honor roll will require an 85 or higher, and then again, it has that threshold where there's no grade lower than 75. And I think I heard Lee already say that phys ed is not included in the average, because you see a lot of people getting 100s in phys ed, which is good, but we're not going to include that in the average. Important dates. Take a look at the fact that marking period 1 and 2 are both over. Marking period 3 is going to start on Monday, and we're pretty much definitely in the second half of the year. So this is the time for our students to really, if you're not happy with your grades so far, you're halfway there. You have time to make big improvements. Honor roll societies. We have a lot. I'm not going to read you each one, am I? No, I'm not going to read you each one. But understand that I believe Mr. Zimmerman told me something about double dipping. You cannot use hours that you do. You can't. You have to make them specific for each one. College readiness is not the belief that every student will go to college. It is the idea that every student deserves the opportunity to be educated in a way that prepares them for college. And that leads us to the BOCES program, which is an excellent opportunity. And the BOCES program is not where you go if you don't want to go to college. That's not what I'm saying about the BOCES program. And many students, I have seen many student athletes go into the BOCES program and go on to 2-year, 4-year colleges, go on to certificate programs. So BOCES is not a program for someone who's not looking at college. I've had AP students go into the BOCES program. BOCES program has a wide range of different abilities, but it's career and technical education. Students can get 8 credits over 2 years, elective and core course requirements. There's an online application that's available in early March of 2024. This is the time period, if you're in 10th grade, to look into this. And students will be required to visit the program of interest. February 15th, we have organized a trip. Some of your students may already be going. There's a great YouTube video to look at. There's BOCES course offerings to look at. And it has a wide variety of technical opportunities for any student. I've dealt with it in the past where before I started working here as a school counselor, when I was just a coach here for football and basketball, that many students would describe to me the security, the construction, the sound production for music, for electrical, plumbing, that the list goes on and on. So really give this a serious look. It is for everyone. And it's a great opportunity to get some real hands-on technical information. Yes, sir. Where can you, do you have the handout there? Because the BOCES course offering, go to that YouTube link that you see there and watch that video that describes everything. And you'll see the online course offerings. You can, what grade are you in? Obviously 10th. What house are you in? Say it again? House 2. Do you see me around the building? Come up to house 3. Or Mr. Zimmerman? Who's your counselor? Ms. Jankowski. Ask her. She has course offerings. She'll show you. Did you turn in the permission slip and become part of the trip? Okay. Okay. Well, look into it. It's worth it. It's something that you do in 11th and 12th grade, where it's going to take up half of your day. You'll take courses here. Let's say you go to AM BOCES. Then you come back to the school in the PM and take classes, or the opposite. Take classes here in the AM, go to BOCES in the PM. If you play a sport, you'll still be able to get back here in time to do that if you take PM BOCES. Even though if you play a sport, I would suggest you try to get into AM, but that's a whole other topic. Any questions about BOCES? That was fast. That's all I got? Because I know this is not my slide. Mr. Zimmerman. Thank you, guys.
All right, so we're going to discuss Naviance here. Naviance is a web-based program that allows our students to do college and career exploration. So in 9th grade, our students should have already had a little bit of an introduction. Counselors pushed into their team classrooms and had students do the Strengths Explorer. So what that is, right, it's kind of in the name, right? We're having students reflect and answer questions and figuring out what are their strengths, right? In 10th grade, we're going to go in, we're going to do a career inventory, get some exposure to different types of careers, what are you interested in, right? And just based on answering, do you like this or not like this, it spits out some careers that students can take a look at, right? So you have a lot of opportunities to use Naviance. It's not just what we do in classroom push-ins. It's something that we're going to use for the entirety of your students' New Rochelle High School career. I like to have my students explore it on their own in the sense of, you can access it through the school website via class link. It's in the top right corner. So you have access to it 24/7, whenever you want to look. There's 3 major components to Naviance in terms of exploration, which is self-exploration, right? Again, things like the Strengths Explorer, looking at what do I like, what do I not like, right? And what am I good at, what do I feel like I'm not good at? So there's like 8 or 9 inventories that students can take to reflect on that. You have the college section where you can explore different colleges. What do colleges offer? There's something called the Supermatch search, which we typically show students at some point of their junior year, where you can put in different criteria of what you're interested in a college. Let's say I want to go to a school in Connecticut. I want to be able to dorm. I want them to have nursing as a major, and then Naviance will spit out a list of schools for you. Now, in my time in high school, my favorite component of Naviance was looking at the scattergrams, right? So every college has a scattergram, and on the x-axis you have the SAT or ACT score, and on the y-axis you have GPA. And every student that applies to any college from our high school, we have them report their results. So whether they were accepted, whether they were denied, waitlisted, and then we have that data for our future students to take a look at, so you can get a really good sense and idea of, is this school an academic fit? Obviously, as Mrs. Freitas said before, there's more to the college process than just grades and SAT scores, but it gives you a good idea, again, like, am I in the conversation for a school like that? So I always enjoyed that, and I encourage my students to take a look as they start to think about what colleges that they're interested in. Okay. Just another addition there. Naviance becomes, and during the student's senior year, which is not super important now, but we do send all of the college materials typically through Naviance. Letters of recommendation, and transcript, report cards, schedule. So that's going to be an important process the senior year. And again, this is not going to be the only time your student hears about Naviance. Is going to be when we're in the classroom. We're constantly posting about it on Google Classroom. When we have our group meetings, individual meetings with students, Naviance is a tool that we use throughout the high school tenure. So we have college testing, right? So PSAT. So students in here had the opportunity to take the PSAT if they were in 10th grade. PSAT is practice SAT. It's students typically their first exposure to a college entrance exam. So I always encourage my students to take it. Every year I get a handful of emails and like, I'm nervous about it. I don't know if I want to sit for it, right? And I'm sure some people in here have heard that a lot of colleges are test optional, which I'll get into in a second. But I always think that experience of having to sit for that long of an exam, getting exposure to the material on the exam, I think is a really beneficial thing for students. So 10th grade, 11th grade, we have it as well. There's something called the National Merit Scholarship. So in 11th grade, if you score very, very high, you can be potentially asked and named a National Merit semifinalist, and then you apply, and there's some scholarship money with that, and colleges really like when you're a National Merit Scholar. So something to keep in mind in terms of 11th grade, right? There's other things that you can get from the PSAT, right? In terms of national recognitions, and a lot of them have to do with racial demographics. So if students score in the top 10% on the PSAT 10, PSAT 11, or if they have 2 AP, in the same testing cycle, if you're taking 2 AP exams and you get 3s or higher, and you meet certain demographics, you can be named through different national organizations. So again, something that looks really good to college. So SAT and ACT, right? Both of these are different exams, but they are utilized in the same way, right? Again, college entrance exams. There are some differences, and we can go through a bunch, so I won't bore us all with those, but it is something to keep in mind in terms of taking a look at both these exams. I always tell my students, I want you to take a practice exam in each. So PSAT, you have that opportunity at school. There's a bunch of different programs and companies where you could take a practice, ACT, Apple Ruth being one of them, right? So we call it like a diagnostic test. There's different material on each exam. To put it simply, the SAT is math and English, right? The ACT is math, English, and science. It breaks down differently in terms of expectations for the exams. SAT is currently on the computer, ACT is not. I would have to guess that they'll probably go that route at some point. Maybe by the time that our sophomores are taking that exam, they'll roll that out. But you don't know which one you're going to do better on, right, until you take a practice in both, and then you'll talk SAT, ACT prep, and again, these exams are a big part of our junior year in terms of our guidance curriculum. So in terms of AP exams, right, and we'll talk about what APs we have to offer at the high school, but sophomore year is usually the first crack that students get at an AP class, whether it be AP World, AP Computer Science Principles. So you'll have those exams in May, right, or June. Okay. So here are the AP classes that we have at New Rochelle High School. And then I also have dual enrollment. So for those that don't know, AP classes are college level classes. We have the curriculum through College Board, and our teachers teach that curriculum. They culminate in an exam at the end of the year, the AP exam, and you get scored 1 through 5 on the exam. Now, how to get, you got a question? Go ahead. Sure. Mm-hmm. So the SAT and ACT are offered to students in the sense of you sign up for it, right, as a student. So they're offered only at certain points of the year, and the schedule is available online. Typically, the SAT is March, May, June, right, of the junior year, right? And you got to go by your own timeline and your own schedule. I wouldn't suggest it, but I have had students take those exams earlier in their junior year, in October, November, but again, typically students take those in the spring. ACT will be February, April, and I believe July. So, but again, it differs every year. You can also take them in the fall of your senior year. Again, this is a big topic of conversation next year, but you want to be cognizant and just be aware of when you're applying to college, because if you're taking these exams in the fall of your senior year, then it may not work out, with you applying to the school on time. About that, the SAT and ACT are not required by all four-year universities, and we'll talk test optional, but in terms of how we put this information out to students, so with our juniors already this year, we had junior groups where we pulled students from classes in, small groups, 3-4 students, and we gave them the whole spiel about SAT, ACT, where to sign up, where to get a test prep course. I can only speak for myself, but I have all this information also in my Google Classroom where students can go under standardized testing and they're able to click SAT, click sign up, and it brings them straight to the link. So the SAT, they'd sign up via College Board. ACT is actstudent.org, right? So again, during junior year, this will be a big piece of the conversation. So students should be aware, right? Because us as counselors, we're providing that information. In terms of SAT, ACT optional, since COVID happened, students didn't have access to all of the, opportunities to take the SAT and ACT. There was some testing that was canceled, so colleges had to roll with the idea of being test optional. So it's on a year-by-year basis. Every college has a different policy. I remember looking at the slide before. There's the link fairtest.org, right? This is a website that tries to keep track of which schools are test optional or not. I always say if you're interested in a specific school, go to their website and look at their policy. It's all accessible online. I've had countless students over the years that I've been here that have not utilized their SAT or ACT score in applying to schools. Now again, every school is different. There's thousands and thousands of colleges and universities, right? I could tell you off the top of my head, Georgetown University requires an SAT or ACT score. You're not getting in there without submitting that. But many schools, SUNYs, CUNYs, there's so many that are optional to this day. My general blanket advice would be take the exams during your junior year and see what you get. Because every school has a class profile that's accessible online where you can see their 25th to 75th percentile of SAT and ACT score. So if the school is optional and I'm fitting in that range, I typically would say send that score, right? There's always variables, there's always unique circumstances, right? But that's general run-of-the-mill advice. And if I'm below those, right? Obviously, if you're higher than the 75th, you want to send it, right? But if I'm below that, I'll use the test optional policy. And what that is, Ms. Freitas, right, put out all these different factors that colleges take a look at. All of the other pieces of that pie get a little bit larger when you're not submitting your SAT or ACT scores. Any other SAT or ACT questions? Okay. Going back to what I was saying about the AP exams, right? We were talking about how the class culminates in an exam that's scored 1 through 5. 3 or higher would be considered to be passing the exam. However, in order to get college credit, every individual institution determines what APs that they'll take, how many APs they'll take, and what scores are required. When I went to Binghamton University, which is a while ago now, they only took 4s or higher. So even though a 3 was considered to be passing, I needed a 4 or higher for them to give me college credit for those, right? Now, dual enrollment, these are also college level courses, but they work a little bit differently. So we have several partnerships with schools, Westchester Community College, Mercy, Syracuse, and what happens with these classes is we are teaching the curriculum, right, that they're saying that we have to teach, and students have to pay a modest fee, right, and I know there's always expenses, and if you fall in that like free lunch range, if there's a financial hardship with paying, there is some financial aid that you can apply for some of these credits. But you're able to get high school credit and college credit at the same time, and you're cut at the end of it as long as you pay for the credits, you get a transcript from that university. So my students that are taking, college biology, which I don't see up there, but it's just on the top of my head, through Syracuse University, they're getting a transcript from Syracuse. So colleges, again, they decide if you're transferring in with credits, they're going to ultimately make the decision whether they'll take it or not, but those are legitimate college credits. AP exams are not college credits until the schools agree to them as being college credits. So in terms of, just under the idea of scheduling, right, we're meeting with our freshmen soon, sophomore will be right after that, right, and then we'll get into our rising juniors, but, you have to figure out what works for you, right? In terms of if you're looking at APs, there's certain requirements which will have more set in stone, but I know that we're working towards having a more uniform number in terms of prerequisite for the classes. So if you're interested in a class, your counselor will be able to tell you whether or not you're meeting the requirements. And if you're not meeting the requirements, it doesn't mean that you don't get to take the class, but you're going to have to appeal for the class, and there'll be a process that's going to be determined that you'll have to do, and your counselor will provide you information on that when we sit down with you, okay? So, I have students that take 5 AP classes a year. I have students that, take 1. I have students that take none. The opportunities are there for you to take a chance at it, right? And, even if you feel like you're not ready for one next year, maybe the year after that, right? So just something to keep in mind. All right, now in terms of getting involved, we have this exact list of activities obviously on this presentation, and I believe that this will be shared through the guidance website. You can also access this on our school page as well. We have over 70 different extracurriculars in terms of clubs, right? We have sports. We have so much offered at New Rochelle High School, and in my experience as a counselor, I think when you enjoy school, you do better, right? And I think that extracurriculars can be something that students really look forward to, right? Be that reason in the morning that gets them out of bed and makes them want to go to school, right? And when I reflect on my high school experience, I really don't think about the coursework that I took, right? I more think about the activities and things I did with my friends. So I just want to encourage everyone in here, if you're not involved, there's always opportunities to get involved. And if you are involved, keep on doing what you're doing. Okay, so this was in the packet that you were given at the beginning of the day, or at the beginning of the night. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but I think one of the core skills that we're looking to build in high school is time management. And I think in order to manage your time, you need to know what you're doing with it, right? I always get a crack out of when I ask students to look at their screen time on their cell phone, and they see how much time they're actually spending on it. So I think as a family, this would be a nice activity in the future for you to sit down and figure out, again, what you're spending your time on. And if you're thinking as a student, I don't have time for these extracurricular activities, I don't have time to study for this test, right? Assess how you're using your time and then make a judgment for yourself. All right, so this is just a little bit of a resource plug here. We have tutor.com, 24/7 tutoring. If you're struggling with a subject, you're Sunday night, you're trying to get some homework done for Monday, you don't have any access to anyone that can help you, tutor.com is something that you can use. And you can also access this as a student through that class link account, same platform that you can get Naviance from. You can get tutor.com. I've literally had students use it in a pinch, and they've said it's helpful. So take a look at it. You can connect with a tutor that you can just type back and forth with, or you can connect to one that you can have audio with. So that's up to the student. We have Khan Academy. Khan Academy is good for SAT prep in the future, right? Just to throw that out there. So they have that. They have all different subjects. Students are welcome to access that. The PASS program, that's run over in House 4 on Wednesdays after school. They have National Honor Society students that come and help students with whatever work they want. So I can come in and say, I have a geometry quiz. I'm looking to have someone help me study. I need to get this essay done. Can I have someone revise this? There's a lot of opportunity. And I know that Ms. Solano, who runs the program, says that they're always looking for students to come in. Then we have Great Potential. This is Thursdays after school. Great Potential centers on math, right? So if you're struggling with math, or you just want help with math, you want to review math, you're welcome to go to Great Potential. And then lastly, we have the run-of-the-mill extra school, or after school extra help. And that's determined by teachers. Every teacher does at least one day after school. Sometimes they have more. Sometimes they'd be willing to do it by appointment. All of this is accessible on the school website, but I always say there's no better source than just asking the teacher themselves, right? What day are you available? I need some help. All right, so we are winding down here. Go ahead and scan this QR code and give us some thoughts. I have no idea what questions they're gonna ask you, but I'm sure they're good. And then after a minute or so, we'll take whatever questions you have remaining.
Thank you so much for your participation and your attention this evening. Please feel free to email any of us with further questions, follow-up questions. I know there was a question about the percentage of our students who were accepted to Ivy Leagues. If you want to email me, I can give you more specifics about that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great night.